This is Baby Shark. This is Grandpa Shark. And this is Grandma Shark. And they are gonna go visit their friends, the pigs, for a tea party. While they're walking to the river, Grandpa Shark suddenly gets an idea. He tells Baby Shark, "Hey, get in my shell and we can take a shortcut." So Baby Shark gets in a shell and Grandpa Shark blows air into it to make it float. As they are floating along, they see Daddy Shark working hard at the coral reef, building something very special for Teapot. And Grandpa Shark says, "I bet he would love to have a ride in our balloon." So he blows more air into the shell, making it float higher, so that Daddy Shark will see them. Daddy Shark looks up and sees them, and he starts waving. And then Grandpa Shark does something really silly. He pretends to be a sea monster with big, scary teeth and makes all these scary faces. And Daddy Shark gets really scared and drops his tools and swims away. Baby Shark and Grandpa Shark start to feel bad because they made Daddy Shark so scared. So they decide to go find him and apologize. But when they finally find him, he's still too scared to come back. So Baby Shark has to do something very brave to save the day. Grandpa Shark and Baby Shark swim to the riverbank to wait for Peppa Pig and her friends. Soon, they see the riverboat coming. It's carrying Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig, George Pig, and even Rebecca Rabbit. They're all going to tea party too. And while they're waiting, they start to play a game. Baby Shark says, "I'm gonna be a little puffer fish and blow myself up like this." And then he takes a deep breath and blows himself up like a ball. Then he lets out all the air and squishes down again. He's not very good at it, but Grandpa Shark says, "You'll get better practice. Soon it's time for tea party." They all sit down around the table and start sipping their tea. Rebecca Rabbit pulls out a deck of cards and says, "Let's play a game." They all sit in a circle and Rebecca shows them how to play. She lays down 2 piles of cards, one for Peppa and one for the sharks. Then she fans the rest of the cards and deals them out face down. One by one, they flip over their top card. If the cards match, you get to take both piles. If they don't match, you put them back in the middle. The pile goes on until Peppa goes again and matches again. And she takes both piles, but just as she's about to take the next card, who comes swimming by but Daddy Shark? He apologizes for not coming to tea parties sooner, and everyone is happy to see him. He sits down and takes off his scuba gear, and then it asks his turn to take a card. He flips over his top card, and oh no! It matches Peppa's card. So she gets to take all the cards. After the game, Daddy Shark asks, "What did I miss?" And Peppa says, "We were playing a card game, and now I have all the cards." She lays them out on the table and it's time for another game. She says, "I'm gonna hide and you have to find me." She runs off to go hide while they all count to 10. She hides behind a rock and then she hears someone splashing around in the water. She peeks out from behind the rock and sees who it is. It's Baby Shark. He's doing a great job looking for her, but then suddenly she hears someone else splashing in the water. She looks over and sees Daddy Shark, but he's not looking for her. He's looking for something. He finds something and holds it up in the air. It's a brand new scuba hat. And he says, "Look what I found. Look how cool it is." And then he puts it on his head. Peppa says, "That looks heavy. Are you sure you want to wear that?" And Daddy Shark says, "Of course. It makes me a super duper diver." Just then, Grandpa Shark swims by and says, "Ooh, you look like a clownfish." And Daddy Shark says, "I'm not a clownfish. I'm a super duper diver." And then he does a funny voice. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. I'm a super duper diver. And he keeps putting his scuba gear back on. Peppa says, "Oh, you're not a super duper diver. You're just a silly shark." And Daddy Shark feels bad again. He starts to take off his scuba gear, but Peppa says, "Hey, let's go find Baby Shark and tell him you're a super duper diver." So Daddy Shark puts his scuba gear back on and he and Peppa go to find Baby Shark. They find Baby Shark hiding under a rock and Peppa says, "Hey, Baby Shark, my friend here is a super duper diver." But Baby Shark says, "No, he's not. You're the super duper diver." And he takes off his seashell and pretends to be a submarine. "Whoopee, whoopee, I'm a submarine." And then he dives underwater. Daddy Shark is confused and he asks, "What are you doing? You're not a submarine. You're a shark." And Baby Shark pops out of the water and says, "No, you're the shark. I'm a submarine." And he dives back under the water again. Daddy Shark is very frustrated and he starts to walk away, but Peppa stops him. She says, "No, you're a super duper diver and Baby Shark is a submarine." And then they both start pretending to be underwater. They make funny splashing noises and dive back and forth between the rocks. They're having so much fun. And Daddy Shark starts to feel better. He realizes that being a super duper diver isn't all that important. What's important is spending time with his family and friends. And then he gives Baby Shark a big hug. Then they all hear a loud crash. They turn around and see that Grandpa Shark has knocked over the tea party table. All the teacups and saucers are on the ground. And there's tea everywhere. And then he says, oh dear, what am I gonna do?" And Daddy Shark says, "Don't worry, Grandpa Shark, we'll help you clean it up." And Baby Shark says, "We'll bring you some more tea and we'll make you some more sandwiches." And Grandpa Shark says, "Thank you, everyone. This is the best tea party ever." And they all live happily ever after.